As we come here to the White House tonight, there's breaking news that Merrick Garland has appointed a special counsel, Jack Smith, to look into various potentially criminal matters with former President Trump. Anyway, that's an ongoing story, and let me get on with the other issues of the day. Washington witnessed a seismic shift in political power when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi took to the floor Thursday to declare her intention to step down from Democratic leadership and to pass the torch of power to a new generation. Speaker Pelosi is one of the most consequential leaders America has had because she was effective in getting the job done. She was also the first woman House Speaker. She knew her caucus. She knew what each of her members needed and how to sway them to whatever legislation she needed so that she could get things passed. And she knew how to count votes, which is most important. This unparalleled skill led her to achieve an array of legislative wins for the American public, including passage of the landmark Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Much has been written about her seminal role in the ACA's passage. There were many hurdles along the way. Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Barney Frank, and also at that point, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, said this bill is dead at one point. But Speaker Pelosi mustered on. And at one point during a Thursday news conference, when asked how she would proceed, considering that the prospects of passage seemed so bleak, she replied, "You go through the gate. If the gate's closed, you go over the fence. If the fence is too high, we'll pole vault in. And if that doesn't work, we'll parachute in. But we're gonna get healthcare reform passed for the American people." And she did. And I argue that her seminal role in passage of the ACA would more appropriately be named Pelosi Care. She was almost born to this important political role as daughter of Tommy D'Alessandro Jr., a one-time Maryland congressman and later mayor of Baltimore. And by the way, her brother, Tommy D'Alessandro III, later served as Baltimore's mayor. She assisted her father working on John F. Kennedy's presidential campaign and later attended his inauguration. And there's a famous photograph that circulates of a young Nancy D'Alessandro standing with JFK. As Speaker, she served alongside 4 U.S. presidents. However, at her resignation speech on Thursday, she said she was proud to serve under 3 presidents. And while the Senate remains in Democratic hands, the Republicans will run the House. Because Republicans hold a majority by a slender margin with only a few votes, more extreme members have extracted extraordinary demands from Leader McCarthy to secure their support for his speakership. For example, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, once conspiracy-loving gadfly in the Capitol, mostly known for her annoying utterances and who called Anthony Fauci a, quote, enemy of our nation, has already obtained a promise from McCarthy that the House will investigate the FBI, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and so much for Republicans' promises to wrestle with inflation. And I can't leave the White House today without mentioning a report from the United Nations that says the world population has surpassed 8 billion people this week. Homo sapiens have roamed this planet for 300,000 years in the span of recorded history, beginning with the Sumerian cuneiform script just under 5,000 years ago. But it was only after 1804 that the population surpassed 1 billion. A century later, we crossed 2 billion. The United Nations warns that the environmental impact on such a massive population as we have today, which includes global warming and rising sea levels, makes humanity's high levels of production and consumption unsustainable. From the White House, this is Douglas Christian.